And good evening and welcome to another edition of Sports Corner with me, Ralph Williams. It's great to be here tonight. And we have a lot going on tonight. We're going to be what we call our draft analysts show. And what we're doing is tonight is we're going to analyze all the positions in the draft. And I'm going to give you my opinion and some of the mock drafts that are out there as to who the Steelers could possibly be picking. All right. But first, what we're going to do here right now is we're going to talk some Steeler news. Today, they hired David Corley as an assistant quarterbacks coach. So, as they say in Fast Times at Richmond High, he's the assistant to the assistant in the movie theater. So, so now we have the assistant to the assistant, and he's the assistant's quarterbacks coach. So that will be what Dave Corley will be doing for the Steelers. And Deontay Johnson, a no-show at voluntary workouts. That's to be expected. He's looking for $90 million, and he's not going to get it. I don't think he deserves it. I don't think he's done enough. I know he made the Pro Bowl last year, and you could sit there and you can argue with me all you want, but he drops more balls than he catches. And then also on top of that, he has an attitude problem. So until he can clean that up, if I'm the Steelers, I wouldn't give him a red nickel. All right. So there's my opinion on that. And also coming up, also today, the Steelers signed wide receiver Miles Boykin. Now, Miles Boykin, everybody that's either at one time played for the Ravens or the Bengals or the Browns, or any of the AFC North teams, has been some sort of a nightmare to the Steelers. Well, Boykin was a little bit of a nightmare. He caught some key touchdown passes over the years against the Steelers. So having him on our side is better than having him with the Ravens. All right, other sports news. Pirates lose last night 6-1. They're playing now, second inning. It's goose eggs. Both teams have goose eggs. And what I mean by that is 0-0. Also, former Pirate pitcher Tony Watson has retired, says he has too many shoulder issues to stay playing baseball, so he has retired from baseball. Sad, he was a good player for the Pirates when he did pitch, and he basically got traded, of course, just like everybody else with the Pirates as well. Don't forget your comments in the comments section. Juana has checked in saying hello. And so you can check in as well as we talk tonight in regards to the NFL draft. So tonight we're going to go over different different positions in the draft. I'm going to tell you who's in the top 20, and then I'm going to tell you who I think in each position the Steelers might be able to get or might want to pick. Okay. I have a draft put together of the Steelers. I have some names in some rounds that the Steelers are going to pick, and I have an alternate names there as well as like my co-host Smoking Jim Frazier on my PCTV version of Sports Corner would say. I have an A and a B. All right, so Monday coming up this coming Monday, the 25th, 6 p.m. PCTV channel 21. Comcast 47 Verizon, and on PCTV's Facebook page. We will be live for a very special NFL draft show. It's going to be myself, Luther Dupree, Smoking Jim Frazier, and local NFL draft analyst and guru Joe Kuglis will be with us as well. So it's going to be the four of us. We're going to talk NFL draft. We're going to put together, I have my draft, who I think the Steelers are going to pick in each round, and my Bs and my As and my Cs and everything else. Now, there are some players that on the mock draft have the Steelers picking, but some of these players, others have them knocking these players down. Okay, for instance, all right, and when I want to tell you this, for instance, now, here is a situation where Anthem Sports, who handles Anthem Sports, who does a draft digest, they have us taking an offensive tackle from Central Michigan. Okay. Well, his rating isn't very good. Okay, in the second round, so he's not a second round player, but they have the Steelers taking him. So there's a lot of flack on this guy, and his last name is Neiman. But we're going to look at the offensive lineman later, because throughout the next 55 minutes here, we're going to talk about the NFL draft. I'm going to go into things, read off your comments. Also, here we are here. Let's see. The Riverhounds, halftime with Cincinnati River Dogs. The Riverhounds versus the River Dogs. Ain't that interesting, huh? 0-0, 2 goose eggs. All right. Riverhounds played a few days back against Vegas, and they worked their way towards to Cincinnati for tonight's game. I guess the luck of the Cards or the luck or whatever down there in Vegas didn't work for them. They lost 1-0. So, we'll go from there. Vegas is going to be your home this year for the NFL draft, which will be April 28th, 29th, and 30th as well. So it's going to be an interesting scenario there, because this is going to be the first year that the NFL draft will not be on Sunday. And Roger Goodell, ever since he's been commissioner, he's tinkered with this draft and tinkered with this draft and tinkered with this draft ever since. And now he's having it in different locations. For many years, they had it at Radio City Music Hall. And also, not only just that as well, but he cut the rounds down. They used to do 12. Then it was at 10. Now it's at 7. And he has managed to do whatever he can possible to sort of condense it. It was a long 4 days. It used to go from like Thursday to Sunday, and you would have 12 rounds and all that. And then also too with the salary cap and teams trying to manage their finances, it was easier to cut the draft back because of course, in case you're not aware, the commissioner, he works for the owners. All right, he doesn't work for the players. He works for the owners. Okay, the owners install him. They like Roger Goodell because he does what he does there. Brewers are up 1-0 now. Just hit a home run off J.D. Brubaker here in the second inning. So Pirates are down 1-0 to the Milwaukee Brewers. So anyway, but like I said, Roger Goodell works for the owners, and that's the way that goes. And it's like that. There's a lot of politics and a lot of different things, and that's one of them. I know what you're expecting to hear from me tonight. You're expecting to hear from me talk about the Maulers. Well, I'm not going to do that because my Mauler show will be on tomorrow at 5 p.m. And I will talk about the Maulers because, first of all, I do have a lot of questions. They played very horribly. And not only did they play horribly, also some of the plays that they did. And I apologize. I forgot to do my post game last night. Because usually I wasn't used to it being on Monday night. I was used to it being on Sunday night. And what had happened was I did do a pregame on Sunday, but they ended up postponing the game for the Pittsburgh Maulers. And, I'll be taking your comments tomorrow, 5 p.m. for Mauler Talk. And we'll be talking about that as well. Tomorrow night, I will be on a program it'll be on Facebook, Twitter, and Linnigan. And I'm going to be on a program with Scott Morganroth called Inside the Pigskin, or Into the Pigskin. And I'm going to be on with some other guests tomorrow. Scott's invited me on his show at 7 o'clock. Then at 8 o'clock, I'm going to be on Thursday. I'm going to be on my sports show with Mark Mancini, my Pittsburgh Black and Gold Sports Podcast. Will be on at 8 o'clock. 347-205-9631 is the number to call. So anyway, let's get started here with the draft stuff. And first, we're going to start with the quarterbacks. Now, The number one rated quarterback, believe it or not, in the draft is Kenny Pickett. Okay. So we're going to start at number 20, and he's number one, but we're going to start at number 20. Armani Rogers from Ohio. He's rated at number 20. Now, if I'm the Steelers right now, and I know this is probably not what they're thinking right now. Their thought process is they want their cake and eat it too. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the Steelers have a lot of other needs other than quarterback right now. They just signed Mitch Trubisky, and I'm hearing stories now that they're probably going to be signing Ryan Fitzpatrick. If they bring him in, I think Mason Rudolph is toast. I think he's going to be gone. They're going to take his $5 million salary and shed it. And, with the situation with Dwayne Haskins, they now have his money. So what I'm saying to you is I think what the Steelers would be smart enough to do is to go into a late round and get one of these top 20 quarterbacks and not worry about the first round getting a quarterback. All right. I'll tell you on Monday, because and the reason I'm challenging you on this is because I want you to watch the draft show that I have coming up on PCTV on Monday, April 25th, 6 p.m. live call-in show. You can call in and talk with me, Luther Dupree, Smoking Jim Frazier, and Joe Kuglis, where the four of us will be, and I'm possibly working on a fifth guest. I had Chip Hayner from Pittsburgh Sportsline, Bethel Park TV lined up, but he has prior obligations and cannot be there. And Claudio Rosano. But next Wednesday at 7 o'clock p.m., we're going to be here, live here on YouTube and Facebook for a draft podcast. And we're going to have the same group on, and except we're going to add Claudio Rosano. So there we are. We're going to have both on TV and on this podcast. You're going to be able to watch as we're going to go over the draft, preview who we think the Steelers, as it boils down to starting on Thursday, the next day. And I will be on and off on both YouTube here and Facebook during the draft. I will be coming on to talk about the draft, talk about who the Steelers picked, analyze the situation, give you the information you need in regards to who we picked, the Steelers. So that's what I will be doing. And then on Saturday, April 30th, I will be on in the afternoon because the draft will be over early. It's starting at noon. It's the final 2 rounds or 3 rounds, I believe it is, of the draft on Saturday, April 30th. And I will be on for a draft preview where I will preview all the draft picks that the Steelers have picked. Now, I have an obligation possibly on, or I'm sorry, the 30th. On the 30th, our church is having the services on Saturday because of the marathon on the 1st. So I may not be able to, depending on what time the draft gets done, I'll do a pregame or a post draft show, but it's going to be from my church. It's not going to be here at Studio 808 here in Allentown. So I just want to let you know that as well. I'm going to try to do the best I can to try to get to you with a post-draft show to talk about the draft and what the Steelers have picked. Okay, let's go into this list. Matt Corral is rated at number 2. Now I'm hearing let's go with number 20. Armani Rogers, Ohio. Anthony Brown, Oregon. Okay, now, he plays for the Oregon Ducks. Mario Cristobal was their coach last year. He has moved on to Miami, which is going to be a nightmare for Pitt. But we'll talk about that later on. Mackenzie Milton, Florida State. Mike Norvell is the coach down at Florida State. He had a rough year. He's had a rough couple years. It seems like the student body and some of the alum, they want him out. So we'll see what happens down there. He needs to have a good third season, Mike Norvell down there. But Nick Starkel, San Jose State. Skylar Thompson, Kansas State. I was looking at this Brandon Peters for a late round pick for the Steelers for quarterback. Okay. I don't think the Steelers should go in the first round now and get a quarterback since they signed Mitch Trubisky. And if you're going to sign, a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's the same age as Ben, okay, and you're going to sign him, he's a quality backup. I wanted him years ago. I wanted Ryan Fitzpatrick. Steelers never signed him, never did it all. So what I'm saying is that it might not be a bad idea to sign him and then bring in somebody in the draft and shed Mason Rudolph's contract, and then you have your third string quarterback, and he can start to develop, and you might even have your franchise quarterback. And guess what? For the first 5 years, you didn't have to spend a ton of money on him. So do you see what I'm getting at here? If Trubisky fails, and then, you can do that as well. All right. Brandon Peters, Illinois, as I mentioned, number 15. I think he's not a bad quarterback. I took a look at his stats. Fortunately, he played for Illinois. But Illinois had a pretty decent season this year. They went to a bowl game for the first time in a while. So, and they beat Penn State. So, they upset them this year. Lovie Smith was there. He's the new coach for the Houston Texans. They have a new coach at Illinois now, and he's has a little more firepower in him, a little more enthusiasm to deal with the college athlete other than Lovie Smith. All right, California, Chase Garbers. Now, I watched this kid play, Dustin Crum. And Dustin Crum is from my pastor's college. He went to school at Kent State. And I watched him play in a bowl game or in their bowl game against Western Michigan, who we lost to, okay, who we have to go play this year at their home turf. All right, Pitt does. But I watched him play in a bowl game against, they played somebody else in a bowl. I'm trying to remember who they played. It was somebody, I couldn't remember off the top of my head, but Kent State's Dustin Crum. I seen him play in the championship game when they went up against Northern Illinois, and they lost in the championship game for the MAC conference. He's not a bad quarterback. Browns, E.J. Perry, Brock Purdy, Iowa State. There's another one that the Steelers can get in the late round. I think he would be the perfect fit for the Steelers if you're going to go quarterback in the late rounds and choose to go where you're going to go. But I will say this because it's the truth. If any one of the top 5 quarterbacks are available in the first round at number 20, or at least Matt Corral, Kenny Pickett, or Malik Willis, I would take them. Okay. After that, I wouldn't go any further. Okay. I would wait till the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh round to get somebody if that's going to be the case for you as far as that goes. All right. Also, we have De'Aaron King, Miami, Florida. He's sort of a tweener. He's at number 10. And, he's not a bad quarterback. Miami was in a bowl game this year. They pulled out what they had to, but they have a new coach, Mario Cristobal. And so we'll see where that goes from there. Jack Cohen, Notre Dame. Yeah, played under Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly's gone from there. He's gone from there. Notre Dame quarterbacks usually been pretty good. I thought we should have took that Book kid from Notre Dame a few years back in the draft, and we didn't. And he's 6'8". He was playing for the Saints the last I saw him, and he was starting. So he's a Bailey Zappi, Western Kentucky University. All right. I heard he's not a bad quarterback. Khalif Alibre, Western Michigan. Well, we know a lot about him. Boy, does Pitt know a lot about him. Yep. And in the bowl game, they scored 52 points. And they blew, and I'm trying to remember who they blew out. I think it was Memphis. They blew somebody out from the AAC. Yeah, I remember that. Here's the quarterback that I think they're going to take, or going to be able, the two that if they can't get Kenny Pickett, Matt Corral, or Malik Willis, I think they're either going to take Sam Howell, or they're going to take Desmond Ridder, or they're going to take Carson Strong. Now, if they go for one of them three guys, I think they should take one of them three guys in the second or third or later rounds. I don't think they're worth the Matt Corral or any of the Matt Corral or Kenny Pickett. Very informative show, Ralph. Thank you. Thank you as well, Juana, for your comments. Always appreciated. All right, running backs. Now, this is going to be a dream. Okay. We do need a running back. We need somebody to back up Najee Harris because we have a bum named Benny Snell. And Benny Snell is a bum because he stinks. Okay. So being that Benny Snell stinks, all right, I think it's time to shed his salary and get him out of here and start going out into the draft. And who knows? The draft coming up, free agency. Somebody might get cut, might be sitting out there. That might not be too bad. You might be able to get a veteran to come in here, unlike Kalen Ballage, somebody a little bit better than him. The Steelers could get. So Breece Hall from Iowa State's a very good running back and one of the faster ones, but he may not be there. He may not be there at all, but he may. And if he is, not in the first round, I'd say second, third, or later rounds, I would take him because he's I want us to get at least one running back in the draft. I want the Steelers to at least take a look at one. And let's start at the bottom at number 25, Mateo Durant for Duke. I watched him play against Pitt. Not a bad runner, bruiser kind of guy. Letty Brown, West Virginia. Letty Brown, West Virginia, I think would be a good signing or a good draft pickup. And let me tell you why. You can get him in the late rounds because he's only at number 24. He is a bruiser. He's another Jerome Bettis type of a running back. And that would be nice because what we could do is if Matt Canada plans it out right for the Steelers, which we don't know what Matt Canada is going to plan for the Steelers this year, but at least we get to see his offense this year. It's not going to be twinked because we have a 39-year-old quarterback trying to run an offense that really wasn't designed for him. And, as I say, it's called shoving a square peg into a round hole. But anyway, Letty Brown, I like Letty Brown. I think Letty Brown would be a perfect fit for the Steelers if they were to be able to get him in the middle to late rounds, and I think they can. Or even as a undrafted free agent. Sometimes you can get lucky with those guys. Look at Ramon Foster. He was an undrafted free agent. We've had a few over the years for the Steelers. So undrafted free agency doesn't necessarily mean that, you're going to have to, that's nothing. You'd be surprised what you can get. All right, Master Teague, not T, not Matt or a P, Master Teague. Okay. Did anyone ever see the movie First Blood with Sylvester Stallone and the sheriff there was Will Teague? Yeah, well, that's what this guy's. His name's Master Teague. Boy, you know what? He should be a rapper or something like that. Master Teague. Yeah, there you go. All right. Dameon Pierce, Florida. Florida always has a very good passing game. Dan Mullins is their coach there. He's done well there with Florida. LSU, Tareen Davis-Price. Of course, LSU always has a good team. This year, they kind of soiled the bed. And, Ogeron and the coach down there and his issues with his women that he had and some posts that came out on Instagram and Facebook. LSU kind of didn't like that thing with Ed Ogeron. Fought with Matt Canada when he was down there. Not a very pleasant kind of guy. LSU won a few times here and there, but not that much. Now Brian Kelly's down there. We're going to see what he does. But this guy here, I don't know. With Ed Ogeron, we'll see. Pierre Strong Jr., South Dakota State. See, it's guys like these that if the Steelers can get them running back in the late round, that would be nice because then that way they don't have to pay them that much, and then they can help maybe take some of the slack off of Najee Harris. I mean, Najee Harris, that's fine. You see, here's the thing that bothers me about Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin has this philosophy, and he did it with Willie Parker, and Willie Parker ended up, being where Willie Parker is, retired. Okay, he ran him till the wheels fell off. All right, Mike Tomlin has to get out of that. He has to get out of that mentality, running till the wheels off. He's doing it now with Najee Harris, and I don't like it. And Najee Harris is not going to last very long if he's going to be, you know what I'm saying? And I know he's the number one pick and a feature back. I understand that. But once in a while, he needs a break. Once in a while, we got to switch up a little bit on some formations to fool the other team. You can't have, what we had last year in Najee Harris just running the ball and us, in our vanilla-looking offense all year long. I mean, we have to do something this year, and I think we will. All right. CJ Verdell, Oregon. Tyler Goodson, Iowa. Iowa runs the football. I wouldn't mind them grabbing this running back from Iowa. Iowa's well known under Kurt Ferentz for many years of running the football. So this would be a perfect opportunity for the Steelers to pick up a guy like this. Max Borghi, Washington State. Abram Smith, Baylor. Arizona State, Rashid White. Herm Edwards, coached down in Arizona State. This guy is only rated in number 15. So these are guys that I think the Steelers can get in the middle rounds. And it would be nice if they could do that because, again, as I said, Najee Harris needs a decent backup or somebody that can come in and spell him off. And, and that way you're not wearing and tearing them down and running them till the wheels fall off like Mike Tomlin did with Willie Parker. And I hope he learned his lesson with Willie Parker on that one. I really do. All right, next, Kennedy Brooks, Oklahoma. Sincere McCormick. Boy, he must really be Sear. University of Texas, El Paso. All right. Devontae Price, Florida International. Number 12, number 11, Jerry and Ely, Ole Miss. Now, if we get Matt Corral, this guy played with Matt Corral. That would be perfect. That would be a nice, perfect setup. Just like we did with Mason Rudolph and James Washington. They were teammates together, got drafted the same year together for the Steelers. And Hasim Haskins, Michigan, good running back. I'm surprised he's not higher than 10. Jerome Ford, Cincinnati, number 9, another good back. I watched him play in the game against the playoff game against Alabama. And speaking of Alabama, Brian Robinson Jr. Okay, Georgia, Zamir White. There's a good one. Another one. And they're double running backs. James Cook it would be an interesting pick for the Steelers. Tyler Allegian, number 6, BYU. Notre Dame's Kyren Williams. Here is a guy that if the Steelers can get this guy, this is a steal for the Steelers. All right. Kenneth Walker III. I watched him in the Peach Bowl, and he was a good running back at Michigan State. I watched him in the Peach Bowl against Pitt. He ran all over the place. Okay. He's a good running back, and I think if he's available in the later rounds, not the first round, because we have a lot of needs that can be picked up in the first round, and some of our what I call back end needs, like running back, tight end, maybe a wide receiver, and we just signed Boykin today from the Ravens, Miles Boykin. So the Steelers are slowly picking their spots, getting the right people in here, and we're going to go from there. Isaiah Spiller, Texas A&M, very good running back, and of course the number 1 running back. But I don't think he's going to be there for the Steelers, but he might. Breece Hall. Just because he's rated number 1, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be picked up in the first round. Okay, he might be the number 1 best running back, but he might want to go. They might have him in the second or third round. Okay. All right, next, wide receivers. Now we have 40. We're going to go to the top 40. That's how many wide receivers. See, this is a very heavy wide receiver draft. So when the Steelers lost Ray McLeod, they lost James Washington, and they lost Juju Smith-Schuster. Schuster went to Kansas City. Ray went to the 49ers, and James Washington went to Dallas. Okay. So when they, even though the fact that they lost those guys, there's a heavy duty draft presence this year for wide receivers. There's a top 40, and Dalen Baldwin, Michigan, Slade Bolden, Alabama. I'm going to name a few off here because this is a long list, and I want to get to some of the other positions here for you tonight here on Sports Corner Podcast. I am Ralph Williams. If you're new to the show, welcome. Your comments are always welcome. What we're doing tonight is we're going position by position, top 20 and 40 players. I'm going to give you some opinions about who might be available for the Steelers and who might not be available. But I tell you what, you're really going to get a lot if you watch on April 25th, PCTV Channel 21 Comcast, 47 Verizon Cable. If you don't have any of them too, what you want to do is get on PCTV's Facebook page, and we're also live there as well. And we'll be taking your comments on Facebook and your live phone calls at 412-231-2288. I have the distinct pleasure of having Luther Dupree, Smoking Jim Frazier, and Joe Kuglis. The four of us are going to be on talking about the draft. I will have my picks that I think the Steelers are going to pick, my draft board, and then we're going to go from there. And we're going to discuss all this stuff here as well. And we're also having a draft podcast coming up on Wednesday, April 27th, 7 o'clock p.m. Same group, add Claudio Rosano. And we're possibly going to have a few more guys as well. It's going to be a great you're going to get all of the information and details that you need right here on Sports Corner. You won't need to go anywhere else because nobody else is doing this as thorough as I am. Okay. And I've also put together this group of guys, and we're doing a draft TV show. It's not the first, but we're the only group doing a draft TV show in Pittsburgh to talk about the draft. No one else is doing it. Okay. You've got this one station doing bits and parts, doing what I'm doing here by position, but doing it in a generic way. You understand what I'm saying? But nobody locally is doing a draft show like I am. I'm doing it here and I'm doing it on TV. Nobody in this town is doing it like I am. And on Thursday, we're going to talk a little bit about the draft. Me and Mark Mancini on our Black and Gold Sports podcast. We're also going to talk the Pirates, the Penguins. Pirates are down now 4-0. 4-0 in the third. So Brubaker not having a real good outing here. We're in the third inning. And the Pirates have always had trouble beating Milwaukee. The winningest manager against Milwaukee in Pirate history is Lloyd McClendon. He was the only one that was able to beat any sort of the Milwaukee team. Okay, let's keep on going here. Jerreth Sterns, Western Kentucky University wide receiver. Ole Miss Denaro Drummond, another wide wide receiver from Ole Miss. It looks like the whole Ole Miss offense is going to be in the draft. Lane Kiffin is their head coach down there. He's a very good quarterbacks coach, a little bit of a crybaby. Went to Tennessee, screwed them over after one season, and then had coached for the former Oakland Raiders, who are now the Las Vegas Raiders. All right, Ty Freifogel, Indiana. Tulsa's Josh Johnson at number 32. Now, here's a guy, if it's available in the late rounds, or if he's available as an undrafted free agent, would be a great person to sign for the Steelers. Bo Meldon from Rutgers. Greg Schiano's back for a second stint there. They're running a really good offense there. Bo Meldon is a good wide receiver. The only reason he's sunk so far down to 31 is because he's playing for Rutgers. Okay, Rutgers is in the Big Ten. They haven't done well since the Big East, and even when they were in the Big East after Schiano left, they were terrible. They're in the Big Ten now. They're slowly climbing back up in the and Schiano's second stint because he thought the grass was greener on the other side and decided to try to go to Tampa Bay, and he stunk. And then he was the defensive coordinator again up in or some defensive assistant up at Penn State and a few other places. So Greg Schiano's back. Bo Melton, very good wide receiver. All right, I watched him in the in one of the games, the East West Shrine game or one of them bowls, and he's a really good player. So I think the Steelers should take a look at him if he's available. Oh yeah, NC State, and you know it from Raleigh, Emeka Emezie, NC State number 30, number 29, Devon Tompkins, Utah State, Reggie Roberson at number 28, number 27, Valeris Jones Jr. from Tennessee. Yeah, Tennessee, we shut him down. Pitt shut him down big time when they beat Tennessee this year. And Tennessee ended up in a bowl game, but they lost to Pitt. They come to Heinz Field this year. And let's hope that Pitt doesn't have to play any catch-up. All right. Dejon Dixon, Nicholls State. Now, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you one pick that I have on my draft, and I have is Dejon Dixon, Nicholls State. Small school, tall wide receiver. I think he's going to be great. I think, he's going to be another one of them small market gems like the ones that the Steelers have drafted in the past for wide receiver. I believe that's going to be the situation with him. If I'm the Steelers, I would take him. I have him on my board. All right. Okay. All right, let's see here. Where are we at? All right, next, Devon Williams, Oregon. SMU's Danny Gray. Jalen Naylor, Michigan State. There's another one. See, I don't mind taking Michigan State players because I got to see them. I got to see them in the Peach Bowl when they played Pitt. And Naylor's got he's got some skills. He's only rated at number 23. But again, there's another prime example of the Steelers can get it. Maybe they could possibly get this guy. So let's see what they can do. I would take Naylor. He was a nightmare on the field in the Peach Bowl, a complete nightmare. Trey Turner, Virginia Tech, we know about him. Calvin Austin III, Memphis. Javon Hale, Coastal Carolina. All right, here we go. Now, I was just talking earlier about the First Blood movie, right? With Rambo. Well, here's his son, Rambo's son, okay? And here he is, Charleston Rambo. And he does play for the Miami Hurricane. He did play for the Miami Hurricanes. Charleston Rambo, there he is. Christian Watson, North Dakota State. Nevada's Romeo Dobbs. Now, there's a guy, Yours Romeo Dobbs is supposed to be a pretty good wide receiver. And he had Strong thrown to him. The quarterback from Nevada, Carson Strong, he had him thrown to him, which he's rated at number 6 of the top 20 in quarterbacks for this year as well. All right, let's get back to this now. Now we're looking at Alex Pierce from Cincinnati, and I watched a lot of Cincinnati this year. I was a big fan of them. I like Luke Pinkel. I thought Pitt should have hired him a long time ago. He was a former Ohio State assistant, got thrusted into the head coaching job, took him to a big time bowl game. He did well there, and then he stayed on through some of the other coaches, and then they decided to hire him at Cincinnati, and they just gave him an extension on his contract because there were some schools courting him. Sky Moore, Western Michigan, he was a nightmare against Pitt. Van Dare Robinson, Kentucky. Jalen Tolbert, South Alabama at number 11. Hey, you know what? There you go. Small college. He's rated at number 11. He might be available for the Steelers. Might not be a bad idea. Justin Ross, Clemson, Alabama. John Mechie III, David Bell, Purdue. And here, Jalen Dotson, Penn State. Now, if he's available and maybe your quarterback that you want, it's not available, and the defensive tackle you want, it's not available, and the offensive lineman you had at number 1 is not available, there you go. Right there, Jalen Dotson, Penn State. He's set to go in the first round. But you never know. The draft is a tricky kind of thing because you don't know. Some people could go right away and others could go none. And you could have guys that you have that are like rated 5th or 6th round go first. Look at what we did to Trey Edmonds. Look what we did to Troy Edmonds. Look at him. Yeah. He was a 3rd, 4th round player. They had him rated. And we reached to get him. And he's a bum. He had a good year this year because his contract was up. Just like Bud Dupree. That's why I was glad when Bud Dupree was gone. George Pickens, Georgia, he'll be gone. Chris Olave from Ohio State, he'll be gone. Traylon Burks will be gone. And Jameson Williams, number 2, Alabama, he'll be gone. And not at the number 1 position. No, I'm sorry. Nope. Oh, no. There we go. No, I know. The number 1 position. Everybody ready? All right. Garrett Wilson, Ohio State. I was just messing around with you there on those other ones. Okay. Tight ends. Andrew Ogletree, number 20, Youngstown State. UCLA, Greg Dulcich. The Steelers really do not need a tight end, but here's my suggestion, and we're coming up to it right now. All right. Chizium Okonowu, Maryland. Noah Gingriff, North Dakota State at number 17. 16, Tegan Gortorium, Oregon State. And here we go, number 15. I said it tonight on Pittsburgh Sports Line. I was watching it on Facebook with Al Levine, the Talking Machine, my co-host, Smoking Jim Frazier, and the rest of his gang on that show. And I had made a comment that tight end wise, I think the Steelers should look at Lucas Krull from Pitt. They really don't need a tight end. They have 3 reasonable ones. Raider, they have Zach Gentry, and they have, of course, Pat Freiermuth as our starter. Jelani Woods, there's a good one from Virginia. He's a really good tight end. I've seen him play at James Mitchell, Virginia Tech. Another good one. Daniel Bellinger, San Diego State, Wisconsin's Jake Ferguson. I tell you what, I'd take any offensive player that was coached by Todd Christ, or was coached by Paul Christ up there in Wisconsin. Any offensive player, any defensive player. Paul Christ is a good player. All right, good head coach. Okay. Paul's checking in comments saying, hello, Paul. Welcome to the show. All right. Next, we have for the tight ends, we have, let's see where, okay, Derek Keys, Grant Calatero, SMU, Isaiah Likely, Coastal Carolina, Nevada's Cole Turner, another Nevada player from their offense that's in the draft this year. University of Alabama, Birmingham, Garrett Prince, Cade Oden, Washington, Iowa State, Charlie Cooler, another one from Iowa State. Looks like Matt Campbell's going to be losing all his guys. Paul says thumbs up. Thank you. All right. Charlie Kohler, Iowa State. Let's see here. Jeremy Rucker, Ohio State. Oh, wow. That's crazy. We really have some really good tight ends here. Sorry about that. There's I'm having a little, here we go. All right. Trey McBride, Colorado State, and Texas A&M's Jalen Whitemeyer is number 1. Jalen Whitemeyer, number 1. All right, next, let's look at offensive tackles. Offensive tackles. All right, let's start at the bottom. Number 25, Myron Cunningham, Arkansas. Tyler Smith, Tulsa. The Steelers need to load up on offensive linemen. They're on both ends of the line of scrimmage, both the defense and the offense. They need to load up on offense, and they also need to load up on defensive tackles as well. All right. As I mentioned on Monday, I will tell you my draft board, and on Wednesday I will tell you my draft board, either on the podcast here on YouTube and Facebook Live Wednesday 7 p.m. I have a bunch of guests coming on for a special NFL Sports Corner podcast on Wednesday. Then on Monday, I'm doing the live call-in show on PCTV, Channel 21, Comcast 47, Verizon, Allegheny County. Outside Allegheny County, you can tune in on PCTV's Facebook page live We'll also be taking your phone calls, 412-231-2288 Monday. And also we'll be taking your comments on Facebook. Okay, Myron Cunningham, Arkansas. Tyler Smith, Tulsa. Cordell Volson, North Dakota State. You know, lately, over the last 3 years, North Dakota State has come out with some big linemen. This guy is huge, this Cordell Volson. I think the Steelers should take a look at him, and I believe he's going to be available in the next round, in the late rounds. And I think that the Steelers need to go offensive tackle and defensive tackle in this draft. Both lines of scrimmage are very, very important. First of all, we could not. I thank you, Paul. I appreciate that as well. He also says nice on this program. Thank you. Also, so what I'm saying to you is this, and that is what you really need to do is the Steelers need to take Cordell Volson because they've come out with some big linemen over the years, and they need to beef up both lines of scrimmages. They lost Isaiah Buggs on the defensive line side. Cam Hayward was by himself. TJ Watt and had to help out a little bit there on the defensive end. The offensive line was mediocre last year. You know what was the result of that. So they signed two free agents in Cole, and they signed Daniels from Chicago as well. So we'll see how that works out. They re-signed J.C. Hassenauer. They also Joe Haig will be back, John Legou, and a few other guys. So we'll see what goes on. We'll see where Kendrick Green winds up this year. Training camps at Latrobe. So Latrobe will be able to get their economy back in order with training camp. All right. Also, Aaron Frost, Nevada. Nevada losing a lot of players on offense this year. Wow. Illinois, Vederian Lowe from Illinois. Kendrick Green, I'm not sure. Austin, the coolest, LSU, Obina East, TCU, Braxton Jones, Southern Utah, Fordham. Here we go. How do you like this one? Fordham from the Northeast Conference or the Atlantic 10 or wherever the conference they play in. Their basketball teams in the Atlantic 10. They have Nick Zajika, and he's at number 15. Wow. There you go, a small college guy. You just never know. But sometimes you got to be careful with these small college players too, because they don't get to see the experience like the bigger colleges do. But some of them are, can fool you. Okay, so here, North Dakota, Matt Willisco. All right, at number 14, Kellen Douche at Arizona State, Abrahams Lucas, Washington State. Dare Rosenthal, Kentucky. I heard he's good at number 11. If the Steelers can get him in the second or third round, that would be nice. But I'm going to tell you in a few minutes who I want as and he's number 6 offensive tackle. And I'm going to tell you in a minute when we get there. All right. Rasheed Walker, Penn State, not a bad lineman to look at. All right. Offensive line. Max Mitchell, Louisiana. Now, here's the guy that Anthem Sports, or not Anthem Sports, they do many publications where they have the draft, they do golf, they do football, baseball, all different kinds of things. Well, they have the Steelers picking at number 2. This guy here, Bernard Ray Ryman. Now, there's a lot of downside with this guy. All right, but he must be pretty decent to be at number 7, and for them to say that the Steelers are going to take him. But a lot of the scouts and whatnot have been bad-mouthing this kid. So I don't know. I mean, but here's my guy, number 6. I think the Steelers, and again, I'm going to give you another hint. Daniel Falala, Minnesota. Big kid, 380, 6'9". I watched him in the Senior Bowl. And I got to tell you, this guy is huge, and he can mow people over. And I believe he's going to be another, another big player for the Steelers if they can get him. Another Kimoy Atu, a mean, nasty. He's a really good, really big offensive lineman. And I think he would be perfect for the Steelers. All right, Joe has come on. Thanks for sharing, Paul. Let's go Patriots. Ah, there we go. Hey, you know what? The Patriots, I think, are just. I think this year's going to be. They were in the playoffs with Mac Jones. I got to give it to Bill Belichick. I thought when Brady was gone, I thought the soul of the team was gone. Not so. You know. So I'm not saying that. All right, now we've got Joseph here. Well, we're getting a lot of people. Patriots are an RA team, and hey, well, that's great. It's good to see we got some comments coming in on Sports Corner tonight. Draft special. We're doing a draft analysis of positions tonight. Okay, next, Sean Ryan, UCLA. Trevor Penning. Now, my co-host on my TV show, Smoking Jim Frazier, this is his guy. He thinks the Steelers should take Trevor Penning. He's rated at number 4, and he's at a small college called Northern Iowa. And if anyone can tell me who was the Pittsburgh Steeler that played for Bill Cowher, and I'll give you a hint. He played defense, and he went to Northern Iowa. Can someone tell me who that was? A special trivia question. I'd like the answer before 9 o'clock. If anyone can come up with the answer for that. Charles Cross, Mississippi State. I've looked at 3 mock drafts that have the Steelers taking this guy at number 1. Charles Cross. He's number 3. Akeem Akawono, and that's my guy from North NC State. Even though I live in Pittsburgh, my second city is always going to be Raleigh, North Carolina, or one of them. And I like NC State a little bit. I root for them and their players. Evan Neal, number 1, Alabama offensive tackle. Now let's go look at guards. Number 15, Justin Schaefer, Georgia. Andrew Stubble, Michigan. Nick Ford, Utah. Chris Paul, Tulsa. Cole Spring, Chattanooga. Tennessee's Cade Mays. Marquise Hayes, Oklahoma. Ed Ingram, LSU. Luke Gogagi, Central Michigan. Another lineman from Central Michigan. Georgia, Jamari Soller. Lextus Smith, Virginia Tech. He's pretty good. I saw a preview on him. He's not a bad lineman there. Ohio State's there. Munford. I don't think any of the guys in the first 10 of guards might not be available when the Steelers pick it, either number 1 or anywhere in the draft. Zion Johnson, Boston College. Darian Kennard, and then Thayer Munford at number 4. Centers, Tyler Lindenbaum. People are saying that if this guy is available, all right, that the Steelers should take him. He's a really good center for Iowa. I'd take any player from Iowa. Kurt Ferentz, he's been there for 30 years. He's been their coach forever. And Iowa always has a good team. And Dylan Parham, Memphis at number 2. Number 10, we're going to start at 10 down for the centers. Cameron Jurgens, Nebraska. Now, if he's available in the late rounds and the Steelers can get him, that might not be a bad idea, but we already have Hassenauer re-signed, and we have we brought in that Cole guy from Minnesota. Jack Wolabach, Duke. Ben Brown, Ole Miss. Doug Kramer, Illinois. Wow. Zach Tom, Wake Forest. BYU, James Emby. Donovan West, Arizona State. Alex Lindstrom, Boston College. Dylan Parham, Memphis at number 2. All right. Now let's take a look at let's start to take a look at the defense. Let's take a look at inside linebackers now. Number 20, Ferret Gardner, Ellis Brooks, Penn State. Any linebacker, any defensive player, any player at all comes out of Penn State, I'm for the Steelers taking. Kaheem Tolson, Illinois. Josh Rosa, Michigan. Okene Futuski, Rutgers. Micah McFadden, Indiana. Drew White, Notre Dame. Old Miss, Chance Campbell. James Skadisi, Clemson. Arkansas's Grant Morgan. Jeremiah Kimmel, North Carolina at number 10. Number 9, DeMarco Jackson, Appalachian State. I haven't seen too many from there lately. Mike Rose, Iowa State. Leo Chenell, Wisconsin. Now we're starting to get into the top 7. Mike Rose at number 7. Number 6, Leo Chenell. Brandon Smith, another linebacker from Penn State. He's at number 5. Quail Walker from Georgia. You know, Georgia won a national championship this year. They won it with defense. Wyoming's Chad Muma, There's a guy, if he's available, got a mean streak in place, just like T.J. Watt, Wyoming's Chad Muma. Damone Clark, LSU, and of course, number one, it has to be from Alabama, Christian Morris. All right, next, outside linebackers. Let's go number 25, Zach McLeod, Miami of Florida. Ali Fahad, Western Michigan. Carson Wells, Colorado. Nefi Sewell, Utah. NC State, Daniel Joseph. There we go. South Dakota, Jawan Cooper. Jalen Harris, Arizona. Jake Hansen, Illinois. Plenty of linebackers to pick from as well, because the Steelers do need to get at least one inside and one outside linebacker or an edge rusher to spell off Watt and Highsmith a little bit as well, and also spell off, they had just re-signed a few other guys as well, and Miles Jack has also been inserted into the thing, and Robert Spillane has been re-signed. Okay, Jeremiah Moon, Florida, number 17. Kawini Ding, California, number 16. Number 15, Balen Spector, Clemson. Cincinnati, Darian Beavers. I saw him play. He's a good linebacker. Amari Barno. There's a nightmare. He was always in on tackles against Pitt. Amari Barno. Jack Sanborn, Wisconsin. There you go. Number 12. He once played, he's played, with Wisconsin. He is Sanborn, good linebacker. Anybody comes out of Wisconsin, I'm on it. D'Angelo Malone, Western Kentucky. Baylor, Terrell Bernard, JoJo Domain, Nebraska. Penn State, another this time outside linebacker. Looks like James Franklin's losing his defense. Let's see, Penn State's Jesse Luketa. Brian Oskamo II, Oklahoma. Montana State's Troy Anderson, I heard, is very well. Zacoby McClain, also Channing Tindall, Georgia. Oklahoma's Nick Benito, number 3. He'll be gone in the first round. Jacoby Dean might be gone, and so is Devin Lloyd, number 1 outside linebacker from the University of Utah. Next, let's take a look at defensive ends. Owen Carney, Illinois. Mike Trifcock, Rutgers. Trey Williams, Arkansas. Tyler Johnson, Arizona State. Anybody that comes from Herm Edwards' team, I'll be on it like you wouldn't believe. Alabama, Justin Ogaby. Minnesota's Boyle Maffey. Michael Clements, Texas A&M, I hear is good. Jeffrey Gunther at number 18, Coastal Carolina. A lot of athletes from Coastal Carolina this year. Oklahoma as well, Isaiah Thomas. Sam Williams, Ole Miss. Penn State, Arnold Abikati. He would be, if we can get him, in the middle rounds, or, why not? You just never know with players. Josh Paschal, Kentucky, good linebacker, but he's only rated at number 14. I thought he should have been moved up a little higher. Dominic Robinson, Miami of Ohio. Ben Roethlisberger's school. Ohio State's Tyreek Smith. Maya Saunders, Cincinnati. Logan Hall, Houston, good linebacker. Watched him play in the bowl game. Kingsley Ingebear, South Carolina. Florida State's Jermaine Johnson II at number 8. Now we're in the top 10. Logan Hall, 10. Number 9, Kingsley Alikpe. Jermaine Johnson at number 8. Number 7, Cameron Thomas, San Diego State. USC's Drake Jackson. George Karfaliftis, Purdue. Michigan, Dave Ojobo from Michigan at number 4. Travon Walker, Georgia, number 3 from the national championship team. Kevin Thibodeau, Oregon, and at number 1, Aiden Hutchinson is their number 1 defensive end. He'll be gone. He may be there. You never know. Like I keep telling everybody, you just never know who's going to be there for the Steelers. All right, defensive tackles. Let's go. Start at number 25, Ben Stella, Nebraska. Louisiana's Taylor Humphrey, Odo Okabono, UCLA. Kobe Whiteside, Missouri. Let's see, Wisconsin. Matt Henningsen. Myron Tagalufu Omoso. Notre Dame, Jalen Peavy. Texas A&M, Minnesota's Easy Okamowo. Christopher Hinton, Michigan. LSU, Neil Farrell Jr. LeBron Ray, Alabama, Kentucky. Marquin McCall, John Ridgway, Arkansas. Stanford, Thomas Booker. Aleem Owaliski, Iowa State. DJ Davidson, Arizona State. I hear he's good. Now we're starting in the top 10 now, all right, for defensive tackles, okay? And Zachary Carter, Florida. Tennessee, Matthew Butler. Ohio State, Haskell Garrett. Oklahoma, Perian Winfrey. Connecticut, Travis Jones. Philadelphia, Mathis. Alabama. Georgia, Devontae Wyatt, and Jordan Davis. Now, those two are on the Steelers list to pick, but if they're available, all right, and they probably won't be, but Jordan Davis would be a nice addition. It really would. So would Devontae Wyatt. Both of them are good players. And number one player of defensive tackles in the draft, Texas A&M's DeMarvin Leo. So there you are. All right, all those guys there for the defense. Let's finish up the defense and special teams before we wrap up. Cornerbacks. Let's look at number 30. There's a lot of corners. So if we have the time or availability to get a corner, some of these guys might be available. I would look at Pitts Damari Mathis. He's rated at number 22. We also could look at Chase Lucas from Arizona State. There are rumors, and a couple mock drafts have the Steelers looking at Derek Stingley Jr. Well, I got to tell you what, I'm not satisfied with him. And let me tell you why. Because under one of his weaknesses in some of the draft reviews that I went on him, he gets hurt a lot. So why would you want to take somebody, even though he's still rated number one, why would you want to take somebody that's always going to be hurt? You need him here. You need him. You can't help the club if you're in the top. It's that simple. Okay? I mean, it's that simple. So let's start with cornerbacks. Number 30, Brandon Radley Hiles at number 30. Excuse me. Arizona State, Chase Lucas. Jacoby Durant, South Carolina State. John Stallworth's school, former Steeler Hall of Fame wide receiver. Nehemiah Pritchett, Auburn. Jack Jones, Arizona State. Tariq Castro Fields, Penn State. Penn State got a lot of guys here this year. Josh Thompson, Texas. Jermaine Walker, Virginia Tech, very good player. I've seen him play corner. Damari Mathis, Pitt, number 22. Arkansas, DeMarc Brown, Jalen Watson, Washington State. How you like this one? I never even heard of this place. Fayetteville State. Is that Fayetteville State Penitentiary? All right, Joshua Williams. Caleb Evans. Let's see. Caleb Evans, Missouri, number 18. Number 17, Zion McCollum, Sam Houston State. Tarek Woolen, University of Texas, El Paso. Josh Joby, Alabama. Nebraska. Cam Taylor Britt. Kobe Bryant, Cincinnati. Kobe Bryant is on their list, I believe. The Steelers are taking a look at him as well. They may be able to get him as well. I hope they do. It would be nice if they could get some of these guys, even in late rounds. Micaiah Wright, Oregon. Number 11, Marcus Jones, Houston. Now we're getting into the top 10. Jalen Armour Davis, Alabama. Martin Emerson Jr., Mississippi State. Florida, Kamir Aleem. Roger McCreary, Auburn. Andrew Booth Jr., Clemson. There's another good corner. Kyler Gordon, Washington. Darian Kendrick, Georgia. Another good corner. Here's another good one. Hold on. Trent McDuffie, Washington, number 3. Another good one. Ahmad Gardner, Cincinnati. Derek Stingley Jr. at number 1. Okay. Now, safeties. Let's get started. Quintero Cole, Louisville. Percy Butler, Louisiana, who is where Kevin Dotson's from. It plays for the Steelers. Trey Sterling, Oklahoma State. San Diego State. Trenton Thompson. Jordan Mosley, Maryland. Auburn. Smoke Monday. There you go. You can smoke on a Monday. Why not, huh? Let's go for Smoke Monday. Brad Hawkins, Michigan. Middle Tennessee. Reed Blankenship. I heard he's supposed to be a pretty decent safety. Being he's in a small school, he kind of got bumped on to number 18. Kentucky. Yusuf Corker. Joanna Thomas for Georgia Tech. Miami of Ohio. Sterling Weatherford. Tegan Anderson, Toledo. Bubba Bolden, there we go. There's another guy. There's one I have on my list. Bubba Bolden, Miami, as a safety. Not number one, but who knows? Leon O'Neal Jr., Texas A&M. Tennessee, Adante Taylor. Now we're going into the top 10. Marquise Bell, Florida A&M. Wow. Florida A&M. Who's the Steeler played for Florida A&M? Earl Holmes. And he's the coach down there, too, I heard. So Baylor, Jalen Pierce, or Petrie, I'm sorry, Jalen Petrie, Kirby Joseph, Illinois, Nick Cross, Maryland, Oregon, Veron McKinley III, Brian Cook, Cincinnati, there's another good one. Lewis Sign, Georgia, another good one. Penn State, Jaquan Brisker, another good one. Daxton Hill, Michigan, and number one, Kyle Hamilton, whose father is the new head coach of Notre Dame, is number one. All right, let's start with top 10 on special teams. Jordan Silver, Arkansas, long snapper, punter. Ryan Wright, Tulane. All right, here we go. Pitt and all NCAA, very first ever in the history of the NCAA. Kyle Adonis, long snapper for Pitt at number 8. Cade York, kicker, LSU, kicker, Gabe Burkick, Oklahoma. Matt Areza, punter, San Diego State. Andrew Melvis, Iowa State kicker, Texas Tech, number 3. Jonathan Gerby, Jake Camarda, punter, Georgia, and Penn State punter, number 1. I don't think we need a punter, but you never know. I went and I spoke to some janitors in town here. And, I go around to different people and I talk. The homeless people, when I spoke to them, they said the Steelers were taking Kyle Adonis from Pitt, the long snapper, in the first round. And then I found out that I spoke to some janitors and they said that the Steelers are taking Jordan Stout, punter from Penn State, in the first round. All right. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching tonight's Sports Corner podcast with me, Ralph Williams. Tonight we went over an analysis of all the different positions, top 20, top 40. Pirates are still down 4-0 in the 5th inning to Milwaukee. All right. Sports Corner podcast with Ralph Williams. It's been a pleasure being with you here tonight. Everybody have a good night. Enjoy. Thank you for the comments and be safe.
Make more time.